With the bombing of 3 nuclear sites in Iran, it's official. America has entered the West Asia conflict between Israel and Iran. Not just backing their ally with all sorts of diplomatic moves, which we've been seeing in the last few days, but also now taking that a step further with military action. And the question that everyone's asking now is what next? Are we going to see it escalate further, or will Iran heed Trump's warning and stop at this? The United States launched direct precision airstrikes on 3 of Iran's top nuclear sites, Fordow, Natanz and Isfahan. The message is very clear. America is siding with Israel when they say that Iran cannot be allowed to possess nuclear weapons. This strike happened with President Trump personally announcing the operation. At the heart of this attack is Fordow, which is Iran's most fortified uranium site that's buried deep under rock. So you've not been seeing any attacks on Fordow so far. Israel didn't have the means or the ammunition to attack this particular site. And everyone believed that with America stepping in, the biggest action would be dropping bombs, bunker buster bombs on Fordow. And that's exactly what happened. B-2 bombers dropped these bunker busters while Tomahawk cruise missiles targeted Natanz and Isfahan. There are contradictory reports on exactly how many missiles and bombs were used, but essentially US media seems to be suggesting that there are about 30 or so. Trump hailed the mission as a spectacular military success, claiming the sites were utterly destroyed and also issuing a warning, saying to Iran that there will be more consequences, more severe action if it even attempts to target any of America's bases if it doesn't back down. Iran, as expected, is furious. Soon after these strikes, confirming the same, they refer to it as a brutal attack, and they have threatened retaliation across the region, particularly strikes on US bases and oil shipping lanes, in which case you're going to be seeing it go further up in the escalation ladder. Now, Iran has also called out the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency, saying why exactly is the IAEA not taking note of strikes directly on nuclear sites right now? Israel, however, is celebrating the move as expected. Prime Minister Netanyahu has referred to US stepping in for their ally as a courageous decision that will alter history. Israel has been counting on this, on America stepping in, because like I said, for them to target the nuke site of Fordow, they needed America's help. As far as the United Nations is concerned, they're alarmed. They've called the situation a perilous escalation that could spiral into a full-blown regional war. But be very clear that the United Nations has been completely powerless, toothless in doing anything about this escalation, or for that matter, about this conflict, failing to take any steps against any of the countries involved, or for that matter, stopping this escalation of US entering militarily as well. Let's be very clear, this is no longer just Israel versus Iran. America is a combatant. The world is watching. If this goes further up in the escalation ladder, we could actually be talking about a global conflict. I want to bring in Rohit Sharma. He's joining us from Washington because right now everyone's asking why Trump took this decision. But I want to get the latest updates first from you, Rohit, on what information you're getting right now about the US bombings in Iran.
Look, there's going to be a formal press briefing at the Pentagon tomorrow. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth will give us the details. But what we do know for a fact is that the American B-2 bombers were used. They were used to completely destroy nuclear facilities in 3 locations in Iran, Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan. And as President Trump said, that it was done with precision. It was done in a manner to ensure that there was complete secrecy, and that the Iranians have now gotten the message that America can strike very well within Iranian territory, and they should come and talk about peace. So those are the details we have. We've talked about the bombs that were going to be dropped. Everybody in Washington, D.C. was looking for answers, essentially, when the news dropped this afternoon that American bombers were flying east towards Guam. So, I mean, that's what we know for sure right now, that the B-2 aircrafts, the bombers were used to destroy 3 nuclear facilities in Iran. And that's the extent of what we know. And then, obviously, there were 6 big bombs that were dropped to ensure that there is success to the mission.
So let me just explain that further. Rohit, just stay with me. Let's just put that out on the map of Iran to show you exactly where these strikes happened. There were 3 locations, as Rohit told you, 3 nuclear sites. So US sending across a very clear message that that's their only target, to ensure that Iran doesn't have the ability to develop nuclear weapons. Let's talk about the big headline there, Fordow. This particular nuclear site so far hasn't been struck because Israel simply didn't have the means to do it. Why is that? Because you had essentially the uranium enrichment facility deep underground. There's only one bomb that could target this, which was the bunker buster bombs, which is why all focus was on America on whether they do this. Iran ensured that this area and this site was heavily fortified, which is why they've ensured it's underground, buried under a mountain. 6 bunker buster bombs were dropped at this very location in Fordow to ensure it went right in. One couldn't do it. 6 had to go right in. The confirmations also come in that after the strike in Fordow, buried deeper under a mountain, there's fortunately been no sort of radiation that's been reported. Now, Iran maintains there's been no damage because they're saying from Fordow, they had moved out all of the equipment that they'd kept there because they knew that this strike was going to happen. US says, Trump says, utterly destroyed. That's the word he used. So we've told you about Fordow. What about Natanz? Now, this is another critical site. It's another uranium enrichment facility. The allegation, of course, against Iran is that they've been enriching their uranium to 60%, which is just a shade below actually having nuclear weapons, weapon-grade category, essentially, which is why you had all of these countries targeting them. Natanz has been hit before by Israel, but US also essentially taking that step so that this site too is completely cleared out. This is also underground, not as deep as Fordow, but it is a complex that houses advanced centrifuge. So that's why US has targeted this particular location too. The third nuclear site, quite close. You can see literally a triangle being formed right in the heart of Iran there. All of this just about hundreds of kilometers from Tehran. Now, Isfahan is essentially a uranium conversion facility. So it's in this particular location that the first steps were taken of uranium hexafluoride gas being formed and then enrichment taking place in Fordow and Natanz, which is why the close proximity of these 3 locations. The idea is to get right down to the root of the issue, which is why America and Israel have targeted Isfahan as well. Israel too has targeted this location. Both of these, Natanz and Isfahan, have been targeted by Israel and now by America too. Fordow for the first time being hit. And we've been getting you satellite images to show you what these areas also look like.